Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Tom Lelyo. I'm your ultimate jet guy. We're pulling back the curtain on private aviation when it comes to being a private jet broker. Today, we're talking about 3 scams that happened to me in the past 3 weeks. Wanted to share these with you as an aspiring broker. There's some things to be looking out for, and we just want to make you aware. Or this is for buyers, to be aware of as well. These are the scams that kind of, that come out in aviation. It is the Wild West in some ways, and I'm hoping by sharing this information with you, you become a more savvy buyer and you become a more professional jet broker. So the first one has to do with a big company called Jetcraft. And what happened was a buyer had contacted me and said, "Hey, Tom, I want you to look at this aircraft for me. It looks like it's a great deal." And he forwarded me an email that was supposedly from the brokerage, Jetcraft. It outlined the specs of the aircraft. It linked me to a website that outlined all the specs of the aircraft. But the sketchy part was the brokerage was asking the buyer to send their banking information. They wanted banking information in order to make the offer, in order to put funds up. But buyers don't usually ask this. Sellers don't usually ask the buyers for their banking information. That's why we have an escrow company. An escrow company is a third-party company that makes sure that everything is handled on the up and up. They handle all the paperwork. They file all the paperwork with the FAA, with the IR, with whoever needs to be, involved in the transaction. So we use escrow for a reason. You should never be a buyer or a seller should never be exchanging banking information. That's what we have escrow for, to make sure everything's right. And when we looked deeper into this, what this scam had done is they had completely duplicated the Jetcraft brokerage website, all of their listings. They created a PDF. They used the Jetcraft logo. It was changed just ever so slightly, and they were spoofing the email, and they were trying to get this guy's information when he was trying to buy a private jet. And, it's just one of those things. So be aware, make sure that the brokerage that you're working with is reputable and it's not a spam version or a scam version of that brokerage. Number 2, this just happened to me last week. We had a buyer. He went out to go take a look at the aircraft. Now, one interesting thing is the buyer asked to go see the aircraft on a weekend. And this is just anecdotal, but anytime I've had a showing on a weekend, it usually doesn't pan out. So I usually, and I'm usually like canceling, like going to see my kid's soccer game or something like that. And it just never worked out. So, in this case, it was even worse because I asked the seller to meet up with the buyer, and the seller ended up driving 3 hours to meet with the buyer. They did have a good meeting. It seemed very cordial, but the seller was a little nervous about the buyer. Just kind of didn't get the right feel for it. But then the buyer came, and so we just kind of figured it was a tire kicker. But then the buyer came back with an offer. He went through all the proper channels and filled out our form, and we filled out a full aircraft purchase agreement. We hammered out all the details, and there were a lot of details to hammer out on this aircraft, and it looked like we were moving forward. Well, over the weekend, I kind of slept on it. I came back and I'm like, you know what? Let me just do one more push. Because if things are a little too easy, then that's usually a red flag. If people are giving you full asking price, if people are, saying, "Hey, I'll put full funds in escrow as a deposit," or 90% of the purchase price as a deposit, these are just some things that as a broker you want to be aware of, and just say, "Hey, it doesn't smell right." Now, don't necessarily discount it and become jaded out there, but just be like, just be aware and kind of keep the seller aware and keep your options open, if you will. In this case, we had other buyers that were interested. We let them know that, yes, somebody did come to the table with an offer in writing, and we were moving forward with this. But, we wanted to tell them that we would have other offers. That was going to be a possibility. So with that, I went and I did some more due diligence. I went to this person's social media page, and it looked pretty legit. They had, tens of thousands of subscribers. They even had posts on there of real estate deals they had done, charitable donations they had made. And it looked, like, oh, okay, great. This is an opportunity. Well, upon more research and calling the realtors, calling the organizations that this person had donated to, we found out that, yes, unfortunately, this was not legitimate. That funds would get put in, but then they would get pulled out because they weren't from the original fund person, or proof of funds was never determined, and this person would just put like receipts and stuff online, and it looked like they were donating like hundreds of thousands of dollars, when in reality, when we did some more research, it wasn't the case. So we decided to back out of that agreement, and that was just another example of doing our due diligence and finding just a scammy buyer. So just kind of unfortunate. Last but not least, scamming brokers. And so for buyers, when brokers come to you, these are a few red flags. Brokers, don't do this, okay? Because I've had two people do this to me now, and it's very frustrating. So I want to define a couple of terms. Number one, this term of off-market. Off-market means it is not listed on controller. That's the bare minimum. This could be, you could say off-market, it's not on JetNet, it's not on controllers, and nowhere, like nobody knows about it. But just for the sake of this conversation, we're going to say off-market means it's not on controller. And what I will have is I will have individuals, and I will have message me on social media, and they'll say, hey, Tom, if you're looking for an airplane, I've got a jet available for you. I'm talking to the owner. And 9 times out of 10, they're not talking to the owner. And when they send me the listing, they try to, make it look like it's just a very basic listing. Well, then I look at it. And in this case, I saw the photo. I knew the photo from controller. And I'm like, I went, and I asked Alex, because he's familiar with the market, and I said, can you look this up on JetNet? He knew right away what aircraft it was because it's listed on the market. So if you're a broker, don't pitch brokers other aircraft that are on market that are already listed by other brokers. Or if you're going to do that, tell them it's off market, because I don't always see everything that's on the market. Now that we get more inventory, I can't imagine I know every single one intimately because we're doing different markets. But don't say to a broker, hey, I've got something off market, because you don't. It's not off market. It belongs to this other broker. And when we're talking about commission, don't pitch me an aircraft that you're not one-on-one with the seller. Okay, I need to see a written agreement from you and the seller that shows me you are exclusively representing this aircraft. And if you don't have that, that doesn't mean we can't do a deal. I just need you to be upfront with me and tell me the truth, not try to be like, oh, I know a guy who knows a guy, or I'm buddies with the mechanic and the pilot, and you're just trying to squeeze yourself into the deal. Transparency is key. Otherwise, deals don't go. And then when someone finds out that you're misrepresenting your status and misrepresenting the aircraft, it just puts a bad taste in their mouth. So from the buyer's perspective, know who you're working with. Make sure they are a reputable broker. Check what networks they're involved in. NBAA, IATA, GLATA, there's a bunch of them out there. And even if they're not a part of a network, what deals have they done recently? Just do your due diligence with the brokers. And brokers, if you're just getting started and you're trying to do stuff, because you don't have JetNet, and you're just trying to hustle, listings and Facebook postings and stuff to other brokers, that's fine. Just be honest and say, hey, this is on market. Have you seen this one lately? Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. And if they haven't, maybe there's a benefit for you bringing that to their attention. So just wanted to share these 3, scams, these 3 red flags as we go through the market. And these are things that are really important. And if you want more information about how to buy a private jet or how to help somebody buy a private jet, go to theultimatejetguide.com. Purchase the book or download the ebook. And there's a lot of great information at theultimatejetguide.com. Also, you can join our Circle community. If you're an aspiring jet broker, join us on the Circle community. We have the link down below where you can, get some training, ask the questions that you have, because we don't want to stand in the way of anybody achieving their dreams through private aviation. So we really do appreciate, you checking that out on the Circle community. Again, my name's Tom Lelyo. Thanks for listening to the JetLife podcast, and we'll catch you later.